As you can see from my shirt, I don't like cancer. And the reason of that is pretty simple. I am a cancer survivor. And I started doing this. Thank you. I started doing this at a hospital for the patients because I started talking about what I call the fun side of having cancer with the patients. So if you don't laugh, you think that you're better than cancer patients, so fuck you all. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually something that was deeply disturbing to me because a couple of weeks ago, my girlfriend, yes, I have a girlfriend, so she showed me a documentary about three women that lived in America, and they had nothing in common more than being women. And one of these women, she was a model, she was 22 years old, and she had for 2 years saved up money, about $200,000, to get vaginal reductive surgery. The thing about this was the reason she got it was because she dated a dude that I like to call the douchebag that said that her lips were too big. $200,000? Yeah. The thing is, like, as a guy, if I take the panties of a girl and I look at it, I look at her vagina, I'm not gonna say, those are too big. No, we're not gonna do this. The only thing I'm thinking is, I'm gonna claim. So why the fuck would you complain about it? So, in hence, he's a douchebag, but she still got it, and the doctor, he said that he did 5 surgeries a week, and he could sustain an income for the entire year in just that. It's like, it amazed me. But the thing I'm here to talk about is the fun side of having cancer. And I know that maybe someone in the audience maybe have a relative or family member or personally are affected by a terrible disease that is called cancer. To you people, I say, I'm terribly sorry. My heart goes out to you if you've lost someone to this disease. But 2 things. First of all, I survived the shit, so I get to joke about it. The second thing, support any cancer cause you can, because it really helps. But the thing about me was that I got 2010, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And I had about 40% to make it. And I'm here today, 1.5 years later, and I'm weighing a lot more than I used to weigh. So I'm getting fat thanks to surviving cancer. And I mean, that's a good thing in one way, but you know. The thing about getting testicular cancer was that I got it because my balls started hurt. And making your balls hurt is not a good thing, I can tell you that. The thing about when I discovered this was I was at my parents' place in a cabin out in the woods, and the only people that was there except for me was my parents. And imagine waking up in the morning that it hurts so much in your balls that you cannot get out of bed. And it doesn't really matter what kind of relationship you have to your parents. Talking to your parents about your genitals is kind of a like really personal thing. The first thing that I thought about was calling sick aid to know what maybe was wrong with my balls. But I couldn't reach my phone. So I had 2 choices. Try to fight the pain and get out of the bed, or call my mom. Imagine calling your mother, even if you're a boy or a girl, and telling, Mom, my genitalia hurts. That is not something you want to do. But I did. And my mom, she's actually a nurse, and no, she did not check me out. But she called, and the hospital said, like, please come in immediately, because this could be something serious. So we went to the hospital, and this is where things got really strange. Because there's a lot of women here tonight, and girls has what I like to call experience with the fact that they have a stranger between their legs, with medical experience, checking that everything is all right. Am I right? Everybody, all the women have sometimes go to a gynecologist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We guys don't have that. checking our genitalia means one thing, that we have an STD, or something is really fucked up down there. So in my case, I went with both my parents to the hospital. Thank God they waited outside the room. But I went into the room, and suddenly this old doctor comes in, and he's like, hello, hello. Take off your pants and underpants, please. And I did. I dropped my underpants and my pants. And he sat down in a chair with wheels, and he rolls over. And he grabs my balls with one hand, and then he starts stroking with the other hand, with his thumb, my balls. And imagine standing like this, with an old man between your legs that's stroking your balls. And he suddenly says, this one is hard. And I was like, what? And then he continues the conversation with saying, this is not right. I think this one needs to go. And I was like, what the fuck are you saying? What needs to go? And he turns to me and saying, one of your testicles must be removed. Come again? And 20 minutes later, I was on the operating table, and they were starting to put me down to take my ball. 2 hours later, I wake up. I don't have 2 balls anymore. I have 1 ball. And the doctor tells me a couple of minutes later, like, do you have a girlfriend? No. Well, if you get a chance to have sexual intercourse, you should not say no. Why? Because the stitches may broke. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Imagine the guys in here. How many here masturbate every month? If you don't put your hands up, you're a fucking liar. Come on. Imagine having your dick work from the time that you were 12, and when you have stitches down here, and you wake up with morning wood, and it fucking hurts. You cannot do anything about it, it just fucking hurts. That's not a good thing. Believe me, I tell from experience. And then you get all the meetings when you have cancer. Like, you have meetings about the chemotherapy. The doctor told me, like, you're gonna lose all your hair. Yes, I know. And this is also gonna affect your body hair. I don't have hair. This is me normally. I have, like, no hair on my legs. Actually, people ask me during the summer, do you shave your legs? No, I have really light hair. And girls are like, I want to be like you. You have no hair. It's like, no, I have hair. It's just really blonde, and I don't really see it. But, you know. And he told me, like, you're not going to be able to grow a beard. And I was, okay. Who's going to recognize me without my beard? I haven't been able to have beard since I hit puberty. But, you know. And then they tell you a bunch of other things. But one thing they don't tell you is that you get a note to your mailbox. The note in your mailbox as a guy tells you that you need to come and donate sperm in case the chemo makes you sterile. I like to call this the masturbation note. Because what it basically is that it is a note to come and masturbate at the hospital. Seriously, it is. So I got the note, and I got a date and a time, and that is really strange. And they tell you in the note that 48 hours before you deliver your sperm sample, you should not perform sexual intercourse or masturbate. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can do this. It hurts, but you know, I cannot masturbate. That's really fucking simple. So you come to the place. Come. I'm sorry, that was a bad one. But I went to the place, and this, I'm sorry for being sexist here, but it was a really hot nurse behind the bench. And I hand my papers in, and she's like, hello, and put my name in. It's like, oh, hello, Daniel. And she knew exactly what I was there to do. And I don't know if it was meant to be, but she walks me to the room where I was gonna masturbate. So, but as I walk there, I see that her underwear is visible through her work outfit. And I remember thinking to myself, like, is this meant to be like this? Or because it's kind of hot in some way, but you know. So she leads me into the room, And she's like, yeah, here's the room. Here's you have a TV with a couple of VHS tapes. And I just remember, like, I'm not gonna touch that. Because it was really old TV, you know, with a VSH input and like a bunch of. And she's like, and here is a pile of magazines if you want to look at it. And I was like, yeah, no. I don't know how many people has been here, so I do not want to touch that. So before she leaves me, she tells me how this is gonna be. She was like, when you're done, you push this button and put your sample here, and we're gonna collect it. If you have any problems, push this button. I did not push the button. Today, I'm thinking like, what the fuck would happen if I did that? Because the only thing I can think about is two scenarios. Scenario number 2 is like a porno. Like, I push it and she comes in and like, you need help? Yes, I do. And she starts. Scenario number 1, she comes in, you need help? Yeah. And she puts on the glove and puts on the thing and like, I'm gonna milk your prostate. How many fingers do you want? 2. Okay. But I never pushed the button. But the bad thing about this experience is that when you're done coming, there's people in the waiting room. And everybody in the waiting room knows exactly what you have done. Because you come out there a little bit flushed in your face, and you're like, what's up? Yep. I'm down in there. Are you next? Page 74 in magazine number 3. That's some good shit. And, you know, it was a fun experience in kind of way. The other thing they don't tell you about being a cancer patient is that you become a little bit what I like to call a zoo animal. Because there's a lot of doctors studying at this university, and all of them do their practice, almost everyone do their practice at the hospital. So when they are at the cancer ward, the doctors sometimes can come in and like, yeah, I have a bunch of interns with me, is it okay if they're here? And you're laying there in your bed and like, okay. And 10 people comes in. And they have their little notebooks with them and they just flip them open and start noticing things. And you're lying there in your bed getting the chemo and the doctor's like, yeah, this is the patient number 326. He's suffering from ball cancer. He actually used testicular cancer, but you know, ball cancer is much easier to explain. He was like, yeah, and he has ball cancer, and he's that old, and blah, 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 blah. And everybody's just standing there taking notes. And everybody's looking at you and like, oh, okay, good. Oh, he's shrinking. Okay, cool. And then the doctor tells them, if you want to ask questions, you can do so now. And you're pretty like, in a position you not really can talk your way out, so you're like laying there and they start asking questions. One girl, she asked me like, how do you feel sexually? And I just replied, I have one ball, my dick is not working, how do you think? And she actually did not frown anything, she just noted down. I was like, what the hell? Come on. And the good thing about, like, when you have cancer, you realize that some of your friends are better than others, and it's good to have one good friend that's always honest with you. And I had one such friend, and he was always honest with me when he came to the hospital. And at one point he came in, and he was like, hello. I was like, hi, you look like shit. Well, thank you. I have no hair, and I'm shrinking. Well, you look like shit. Thank you. And he was like, when do you get out of here? Friday. You want to go out? No, I don't want to go out. He was like, because I told some girls that I have a cancer friend and they want to meet you. And I was like, do you really use me as a pickup line? Yeah. And somehow he talked me to go out, actually at this pub. So I was sitting in the corner here, drinking some soda or something, because you don't want to drink alcohol when you're going chemo, because you're just going to puke the fuck up. So And I see him in the bar talking to two girls, and it's pretty serious what he talks about, and he points a little bit, and he shakes his head. And suddenly these two girls comes over to me, and they're like, "Is it true you have cancer?" And I'm sitting there, I'm like this thin, and I have no hair, and I was like, yeah, I have a needle in my arm, so yeah, it's pretty bad. And I'm like, "And your friend has been with you from day one." He's actually stood there and told them that he was the biggest support I ever had, and they should do him because he was such a good guy. The good thing about this is that he fucked it up, because he wanted both girls and they didn't want to do a threesome, so he fucked it up. Another good thing is that when I was sick, I started composing a list with like positive things about having cancer. And some of the things are pretty black and dark, but the other things are kind of funny. Because one of the good things about having cancer is that you can write a book. Because everybody likes to read about people that overcome obstacles, and keep fighting, because that's inspirational to people. And a book is pretty easy to get published these days. I mean, can Twilight be fucking published? I can be fucking published. Yeah, fuck Twilight, seriously. And if your book gets popular, hopefully you can turn it into a movie. And my movie is going to be called The Man That Only Had One. That would be one ball, that would be. And I always thought that, like, in profile, Ryan Gosling is pretty similar to me. I mean, come on. We have the same body type, and I mean, I can do The Notebook. It's pretty fucking easy. Just cry a lot and stand in the rain. But the fucker never returned my emails, so I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting to do the movie, but hopefully I'm gonna do it. But and Jason Statham didn't return it either. But I realized with Jason Statham that we need to change the script, because he's a badass. Everybody knows he's a badass. And to make it like kind of sad, it's not his type, because he cannot play sad. He can just play like the guy that beats everybody up. So we realized, me and my friend, that if Statham is going to do my movie, we need to make my cancer come from a Colombian drug lord, and he has like 72 hours to get well, get the antidote, and kill everybody, and get back with a girlfriend before something explodes. And no, Fox denied my welcome. Okay, sorry. It's closer to my mouth now. Matthias, is this better? I see it. Yeah, so no movie as long as this goes on. But I hope. And one other good thing with having cancer is or surviving it, is you get the best pickup lines. Seriously. I did an operation for 14 hours and I got a gigantic scar over my stomach. So me and my friend, we twisted it a little bit. That we were moving out and we started talking to girls outside. He was like, "Yeah, do you remember when you went to Afghanistan?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember." He was like, "You remember that burning orphans?" I was like, "Yeah." "I remember you throwing yourself in front of that grenade." I was like, "Yeah." And the girl's like, "No, that's not true." And then I showed them my scar. I was like, "This was where the grenade took." And immediately they're like, "Oh my God." And I mean, that's a positive thing. Maybe I'm a liar, but hey, I have cancers, fuck that. Another good thing is that I realized if the zombie apocalypse happens when I was still sick, I was in line to do a hero sacrifice. Because if I have cancer and the apocalypse happens, I'm fucked either way. I'm not gonna get any more medicine, I'm fucked, I'm gonna die. So, when my party is fleeing off somewhere to a helicopter or submarine or whatever, I get to do this. You go, I got this. And just run into the horde and defend them as long as I can. And they get away. So, because I'm fucked either way, And one other thing, actually, my friend turned from negative to positive is that after everything, I'm sterile. And for you that don't understand what that is, I don't produce sperm anymore. And as the guys already here demonstrated that everybody here masturbates, you know the feeling that you get just before you ejaculate? That's fucking awesome. And you're used since you were like 12, 13 years old, or 11, depending how early you started, that something comes out when you're done. Think into this situation. You have collected enough bravery to start again, to start jacking off after everything. And you have your favorite porno on, and you put a couple of like wet napkins up, and you're feeling the mood, and you come close, and then you feel like there's the feeling, and something's gonna happen, and nothing comes out. And you're sitting there in your chair before your computer, and you're like, wait, something is broken. Shit. And then talking to a doctor about it, it's not funny either. Especially in my case, I had a female doctor, and okay, she's a doctor, but telling your doctor is my dick doesn't work. She's gonna be like, yeah, that's completely normal after everything. It's like, no, it's not normal. It should be working. Yeah, but no, you're sterile. Thank you. And my friend, he then discovered that that's a good thing in one thing. Because if I were to sleep around, no girl can come to me after like 2-3 years and like, this is your son. I just put up my doctor's number and like, no, it's not. That shit ain't gonna happen. Or if my girlfriend comes and like, I'm pregnant. Yeah. You have some explaining to do if you did not break into the hospital and steal my cup. So, you know. And the other thing, I practice martial arts up at ICSU here, and it's fun because I have a downed sensitive area here now. I have 40% less sensitivity down here. It's both bad and good because I can take a kick to the balls pretty easily because I don't feel it. And it's pretty good actually. Because when someone like unfortunately kicked me in the balls, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't care. And they're like, don't you hurting? No. Fuck you. And then I kick them in the balls and they go down. Fair is fair. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the thing about not having the ability to get kids is both good and bad. Because the bad thing is like you can't have children like the natural way. But the good thing is you have a lot of perks when you get cancer. As an example, I had an exam with my teacher that I missed because I had chemo. So I came to him afterwards and like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed my exam. I had chemo. And he was like, oh my God. We do an oral exam instead. And I have one question. I got one question. And I was like, religion? And he was like, do you agree that Martin Luther changed the Catholic Church? Yes. Good. You passed this course. And I was like, my classmates took a 6-hour test. Cool, I was done in 5 minutes. Cancer has its perks. And the other good thing is that if me and my future girlfriend or wife decides to have children, the hospital is going to pay for everything. So, thank you, I guess. Tax money. So, when next time you pay your taxes, remember I take your shit. Because I have cancer. Fuck you. So, thank you everybody, and fuck cancer.